Nari pressed her blue hands against the controls of her small ship. The wind outside was getting stronger. Much stronger than her people had ever seen on this dead planet. Warning. Storm approaching. Seek shelter immediately, her ship's computer said in a calm voice. She looked out the window at the brown and orange clouds racing toward her. They moved fast across the empty land below. Too fast. Her ship was small and light. It could not fight this storm. "How long until the storm hits?" she asked. 37 minutes, the computer replied. Neri's blue skin grew darker with worry. Her people, the Veltari, had been coming to this planet for 50 years. They came to dig for metals and rare stones. The planet's people had died long ago from wars and bad weather. At least, that's what all the reports said. But no report had ever mentioned storms like this one. She looked at her fuel gauge. Not enough fuel to fly back to the big ships in space. She had to find shelter somewhere on the ground. Scan for buildings. Or caves, she ordered. Scanning, the computer said. After a moment, it continued. Found possible shelter. Distance, 12 kilometers. Direction, northeast. Nari turned her ship toward the shelter. Through her window, she could see the storm. Getting closer. The clouds were huge, like moving mountains. Lightning flashed inside them. This was not a normal storm. Her ship shook as the first strong winds hit it. The controls became harder to use. Static filled her radio. Oh, she was losing contact with us. Mining ships above Bess, Ship 7. This is Scout Nari. Do you hear me? She called into her radio. Only static answered her. The storm caught her ship when she was still 3 kilometers from the shelter. The wind hit her like a giant hand. Her ship spun around twice before she could control it again. Emergency landing. Required, the computer said. Hull damage detected. Nari saw smoke coming from her left engine. Red warning lights flashed all around her. She had maybe 2 minutes before her ship would crash. She could see the shelter now. It looked like old rocks piled together. Nothing special. But it was the only safe place around. Her ship hit the ground hard. It bounced once, then slid across the sand and rocks. Nari held on tight as everything shook. Finally, the ship stopped moving. She looked outside. The storm was almost here. The wind was so strong it picked up rocks and threw them around. Soon the air would be full of sand and dust. Her suit could protect her for a while, but not for hours. She grabbed her emergency pack and opened the ship's door. The wind nearly knocked her down. She had to lean forward to walk. Each step was hard work. The shelter was 50 meters away. It looked like a natural cave in some big rocks. But as she got closer, she saw something strange. The opening was too smooth, too round. Someone had made this entrance. Sand and small rocks hit her suit as she ran the last few meters. She reached the cave entrance just as the storm's full power arrived. The wind was so loud she could not hear her own breathing. She stumbled into the cave and fell to her knees. Her suit's lights showed smooth walls. This was not a natural cave. Someone had built this place. But who? This planet had no people. Everyone knew that. She walked deeper into the cave. Her lights showed more smooth walls and a floor that was too flat to be natural. There were marks on the walls, straight lines and curves that looked like they meant something. Then she saw a light ahead. Not the cold blue light from her suit. This was warm and yellow, like fire, but steady like electric light. She turned off her own lights and walked toward the warm glow. Her heart beat fast. There should be no lights here, no power, no people. The cave opened into a larger room. Nari stopped and stared. The room had machines, lean machines that looked new. Lights in the ceiling gave off that warm, yellow glow. She could hear the soft sound of air moving through vents. This place was alive. It had power and clean air and working machines. "Hello," said a voice behind her. Nari spun around. Her hand went to the small weapon on her belt. In the doorway stood a creature she had only seen in old pictures, a human. He was tall and thin with dark hair and kind eyes. He wore simple brown clothes that looked clean and well-made. He held his hands up to show he had no weapons. "Please don't be afraid," the human said. "My name is Deho. You're safe here." Nari could not speak. Humans were extinct. Dead, gone. Her people had been sure of this for 50 years, but here was a human talking to her. In a place with lights and clean air and working machines. You're human," she finally said. Deho smiled. It was a sad smile. "Yes, I am. And you're Veltari, aren't you?" "I can tell from your suit and your ship, but humans are extinct," Nari said. "Our records say." "Your records are wrong," Deho said gently. "We're not extinct. We're just very good at hiding." The storm outside got louder. The walls shook a little. Deho looked toward the entrance. "That storm will last for 3 days," he said. "Maybe 4. You can't go back to your ship until it's over. Your suit won't protect you out there." Nari looked at her suit's readings. He was right. The storm outside would kill her in minutes. "Why? Are you helping me?" she asked. Deho's smile became warmer. "Because that's what people do. They help each other, even if they're different kinds of people." He walked to a wall and pressed his hand against it. A section of the wall slid away, showing another room beyond. "Come," he said. "Let me show you where you can rest. And maybe it's time someone from your people learned the truth about what really happened here." Nari followed him into the next room. It had soft chairs and tables with books. Real books made of paper. There were pictures on the walls showing green forests and blue skies. Things that didn't exist on this planet anymore. Or did they? As she sat down in one of the chairs, Nari realized everything she thought she knew about this world might be wrong. Very wrong. Outside, the storm raged on. But inside this hidden place, a human named Deho brought her warm tea and began to tell her a story that would change everything she believed about humans, about her own people, and about what it really meant to survive. Nari held the warm cup in her blue hands. The tea smelled like flowers and tasted sweet. She had never drunk anything like it before. Deho sat across from her at a small wooden table. "Your people think we're all dead?" Deho said. It was not a question. "Yes," Nari replied. "Our first ships came here 50 years ago. They found empty cities. No radio signals. No life signs. Just ... nothing." Deho nodded slowly. "That's what we wanted them to find." "What do you mean?" Deho stood up and walked to one of the pictures on the wall. It showed a green forest with tall trees and bright sunlight. "This is what our world looked like before," he said. "Beautiful, full of life. But we were having problems. Big problems." He pointed to another picture. This one showed gray skies and broken buildings. Wars, pollution, climate change. Our leaders knew we were in trouble. Then our space watchers saw your ships coming. Nari put down her teacup. "Our ships, but we came to help. We always help planets that need it. Help." Deho turned to look at her. His eyes were sad, but not angry. "Kind of help. We give technology, medicine. We teach better ways to live. We protect weak planets from dangers. And, in return," Nari felt uncomfortable. "Well, we need some things. Metals, rare stones, energy sources. But we pay fair prices." "Fair to who?" Deho asked gently. Nar opened her mouth to answer, then closed it again. She had never thought about this question before. Deho sat back down. My grandfather was a smart man. His name was HFY. He was a general in our military. When he saw your ships coming, he knew what would happen. What would happen? Your people would look at us and see children. Primitive children who needed to be taken care of. You would give us some of your technology, but keep the best parts for yourselves. You would take our metals and stones. You would make decisions for us because you know better. Ari wanted to argue, but she remembered other planets, her people, had helped. It was always the same pattern. So what did you do? She asked. Deho smiled, but it was not a happy smile. We disappeared. He walked to another wall and touched it. The wall became like a window, showing the storm outside. But this was not a normal window. It was some kind of screen. We had maybe 2 years before your main ships would arrive, Deho continued. 2 years to save our people and our way of life? But how? Where did everyone go? Down, Deho said simply. We went down. The screen changed to show a map. It looked like the planet from above, but with lines going deep underground. We built new cities under the ground, connected them with fast trains. Moved our farms and factories down there too. It was the biggest project in human history. Nari stared at the map. All of this in 2 years. We worked day and night. Every person helped. Even children carried dirt and rocks. We had to save our species. But the cities on the surface, we left them empty on purpose. We even broke some buildings to make them look old. We stopped all radio signals. We hid every sign of life. Nari felt dizzy. You made yourselves look extinct. Yes. When your survey ships arrived, they found exactly what we wanted them to find. A dead world with some useful metals. Deho touched the wall again. Now the screen showed Veltori mining ships working on the surface. For 50 years, your people have been taking metals from above our heads, and we've been watching you, watching us, learning. Your ships drop small pieces of technology sometimes. Tools break and get left behind. We collect everything. We study it. We learn how it works. The screen showed humans in underground workshops. They were working with Veltari tools and machines. We don't just copy your technology, Deho said with pride. We make it better. Nari looked around the room again. Now she noticed things she had missed before. The lights were brighter and used less power than Veltari lights. The air system was quieter and more efficient. Even the simple table was made with better materials than her ship. How many? She asked quietly. How many what? How many humans are still alive? Deho was quiet for a long moment. Nearly 1 billion. Spread across 6 continents. All living underground. All waiting. Waiting for what? For the day when we're ready to come back to the surface. The storm. Outside got louder. Lightning flashed across the screen. Those storms, Nari said. They're not natural, are they? Deho smiled. You're very smart. No, they're not completely natural. We have machines that make them stronger. The electric fields mess up your scanning equipment. They help keep our secrets safe. Nari felt like her world was turning upside down. Everything she thought she knew was wrong. Why are you telling me this? She asked. 'Cause my sister King Me and the other leaders think it's time. Time to test if your people can handle the truth. Test. Your ship didn't crash here by accident. We watched you flying around. We made the storm stronger to force you down. Right here where I would find you. Nari stood up quickly. You made me crash. We saved your life, Deho said calmly. That storm would have killed you even if you hadn't crashed. But yes, we guided you here. Why? Because we need to know what kind of person you are. If we ever reveal ourselves, we need to know how. Your people will react. Will you try to control us? Will you respect us? Will you see us as equals or as children who need guidance? Nari walked to the window screen. Outside, the storm raged on. Above the storm, she knew Veltari ships were mining metals and loading them into cargo holds. What if I tell my people the truth when I get back? Then we'll deal with that when it happens, Deho said. But I don't think you will. Why not? Because you're starting to understand something. Something your people have forgotten. What's that? Deho joined her at the window. Being advanced doesn't make you wise. Being powerful doesn't make you right. And helping someone doesn't always mean taking control of their life. Nari watched the lightning flash outside. In her mind, she saw her people's ships above, taking metals from a world they thought was empty. She thought about all the other empty worlds they had helped over the years. How many other worlds, she asked quietly, are really empty? We're not sure. But we've been sending quiet signals into space for 20 years. Signals that only people hiding underground would know how to detect. Deho touched the wall again. The screen showed a star map with blinking lights. We've gotten answers from 17 different star systems. Nari stared at the map. 17 worlds that her people thought were dead. 17 civilizations that had chosen to hide rather than be helped. Outside, the storm continued. But inside the shelter, Neris' whole understanding of the galaxy was changing forever. On the second day, the storm was still raging outside. Nari had slept in a small room with a soft bed and warm blankets. She had never slept so well in her life. Deho brought her breakfast on a wooden tray. The food looked strange, but smelled wonderful. What is this? She asked, pointing at some round yellow things. Eggs from our underground farms. And this is bread made from grain we grow in special rooms with artificial sunlight. Nari took a bite. The food was delicious. You grow food underground. We grow everything underground. Food, medicine, plants, even trees for making furniture. Would you like to see? Nari nodded. She was very curious now. Deho led her to a wall that looked solid. He put his hand on a small panel. The wall slid away, showing a metal platform behind it. This is an elevator, he said. Hold on tight. The platform moved down very fast, much faster than Veltari elevators. Nari watched numbers flash by on a screen. They were going down hundreds of meters. Finally, the elevator stopped. The doors opened, Nari stepped out and gasped. She was standing on a balcony looking down at a huge underground city. Buildings stretched as far as she could see. Lights twinkled like stars. People walked on streets below. Flying vehicles moved quietly through the air. Welcome to New Seoul, Deho said proudly. Home to 3 million people. 3 million. Nari could barely speak. All living down here. This is just one city. We have 12 major cities like this, and hundreds of smaller towns. A woman walked up to them. She had gray hair and kind eyes. She wore a blue uniform with many badges. This is Bioram Deho said. She runs this city. Bioram smiled at Nari. Welcome, friend from the stars. I hope Deho has been taking good care of you. You're not afraid of me. Nari asked, why would we be afraid? You're our guest. Bjorn led them to a small flying vehicle. It was round and made no noise as it flew. We'll give you a tour, Bjorn said. I think you'll be surprised by what you see. They flew over the city. Nari saw schools with children playing in courtyards. She saw parks with real trees and grass. She saw factories making machines and clothes. How do you have sunlight down here? Nari asked. We don't need sunlight, Borum explained. We make our own light, better than sunlight. Our plants grow faster and stronger. They landed at a huge building. Inside, Nari saw something that made her heart stop. Rows and rows of Veltari machines, but they were different, cleaner, more advanced. Humans were working on them, making them better. A young woman walked over to them. She had short black hair and wore a white coat. "This is Sa-Young," Daeho said. "She's our best scientist." Sa-Young shook Neri's hand. "I've been wanting to meet a Veltari for years. Your technology is very interesting. You... You stole our technology," Nari asked. Stole? Sa-Young looked confused. "No, we found broken pieces. Things your people threw away or lost. We fixed them and studied them." She led Nari to a workbench. On it was a Veltari scanner, but it was much smaller and seemed to work better than the ones on Nari's ship. "We made this one use half the power of your original," Sa-Young said proudly. "And it can scan twice as far." "But how?" "Your people build things to last a long time." "That's good. But you don't always build them to be efficient. We build things to do more with less." They walked to another section. Here, humans were working on computers that looked nothing like Veltari designs. "These are our quantum computers," Sa-Young said. "They can solve problems in minutes that would take your computers hours." Nari stared at the machines. They were beautiful and complex. "You built these yourselves." "We had good teachers," Sa-Young smiled. "Your broken machines taught us a lot. But we didn't just copy, we improved." A man in a green uniform walked up to them. He was tall and looked very serious. "This is Tae-Hai," Biram said quietly. "He leads our defense forces." Tae-Hai studied Nari carefully. "How many ships does your people have in this system?" I'm not supposed to tell you that," Nari said. 15 mining ships. 3 transport ships. 1 command ship," Tae-Hai said calmly. "The command ship has 48 weapons. The mining ships have 12 weapons each." Nari's mouth fell open. "How do you know that?" "We've been watching and counting for 50 years, Tae-Han said. "We know exactly how many of your people are here. We know their schedules. We know what they eat for breakfast. But why?" "Because we needed to know if you were a threat to us." "Are we?" Nari asked quietly. Tae-Han was quiet for a moment. "Your weapons could destroy our cities. But only if you knew where they were. And you would need many more ships to control our whole planet." "We don't want to control your planet," Nari said. "We just want the metals. The metals that are above our homes," Tae-Han said. "What happens when you dig deeper?" "What happens when you find us by accident?" Nari didn't have an answer. Biram touched Tae-Han's arm. "That's enough questions for now." They flew to another part of the city. This area had many farms. Nari saw vegetables growing in perfect rows under bright artificial lights. She saw fish swimming in clean ponds. She saw cows and chickens in comfortable pens. "We feed ourselves," BRM explained. "We don't need anything from the surface. We're completely independent." "But don't you miss the sun, the sky, the wind?" Bjorm's smile became sad. "Every day. But this is the price we pay for freedom." They visited a school where human children were learning. The children stared at Nari with big, curious eyes. One little girl came up to her. "Are you really from space?" the girl asked. "Yes," Nari said gently. "Is space pretty?" "Very pretty. There are billions of stars and colorful clouds and amazing worlds. Will I ever see it?" Nari looked at Boram, who looked sad. "Maybe someday," Nari said. The little girl smiled and ran back to her friends. "She's never seen the surface," Boram said quietly. "None of these children have. They've lived their whole lives down here." "That's terrible," Nari said. "Is it?" Daeho asked. "They're safe. They're healthy. They're learning and growing. They have families who love them. But they're trapped." "Are they?" Or are they free in a different way? That evening, they returned to Daeho's shelter. Neri sat quietly, thinking about everything she had seen. How? Many people know about us, Daeho asked. Know about what? That we're still alive? Nobody. Just me. Good. We want to keep it that way for now. Why? Because we're not ready yet. We're still growing stronger, still learning, still preparing. Preparing. For what? Daeho looked out at the storm, which was finally getting weaker. For the day when we decide to come back to the surface. When we're strong enough that nobody can force us to do anything we don't want to do. And when will that be? Soon, Daeho said. Very soon. Outside, the storm began to calm. But inside Nari's mind, a much bigger storm was just beginning. On the third day, the storm finally stopped. Nari could see blue sky through the window screen in Daeho's shelter. But she didn't want to leave yet. My ship's radio should work now, she said. My people will be looking for me. I know, Daeho said. But there's something else I need to show you first. A woman walked into the room. She looked like Daeho, but was younger and had longer hair. She wore a black uniform with silver badges. This is my sister, Kyung-mi, Daeho said. She came from the capital city to meet you. Kyung-mi studied Nari carefully. So you're the Veltari who found us. I didn't find you, Nari said. You found me. Kyung-mi smiled. Smart. Yes, we did. Your crash wasn't an accident. Why? 'Cause we needed to test something. Okay. We needed to know what would happen when one of your people learned the truth about U.S. Kyung-mi sat down at the table. For 50 years, we've been hiding. But hiding forever isn't living. Some of our people want to come back to the surface. They're tired of living in caves. And others think we should stay hidden until we're strong enough to make your people leave our world completely. Nari felt cold. You want us to leave? Wouldn't you? Kyung-mi asked. If strangers came to your home and started taking things, wouldn't you want them to leave? But we pay for what we take. You pay other Veltari, not us. We never agreed to sell you anything. A man in a red coat walked into the room. He had white hair and moved slowly, but his eyes were sharp and bright. This is HFY, Daeho said quietly. He's the one who planned everything. HFY sat down carefully. So you're the alien who's been learning our secrets. I didn't ask to learn them, Nari said. No, but now you know them. The question is, what will you do with this knowledge? I don't know. HFY studied her face. Your people think they're good, don't they? They think they help primitive worlds become civilized, don't we? Let me tell you about the Corvin system, HFY said. Your people found it 60 years ago. Corvins were having problems. Wars. Disease. Your people came to help. That sounds good. The Corvins had a beautiful culture. They made art from living crystals. They could speak with animals. They had magic your people couldn't understand. Had your people gave them medicine and technology, they stopped the wars and the disease, but they also changed the Corvins, made them more like Veltari. Now the Corvins can't speak with animals anymore. They forgot how to make crystal art. They dress like Veltari and think like Veltari. Nari felt uncomfortable, but they're healthier now. They live longer. Are they happier? HFY asked. Nari didn't answer. We didn't want that to happen to us, HFY continued. So we chose to disappear instead. A young woman walked in carrying a bag of tools. She had bright eyes and moved quickly. This is Yansu, Kyung-mi said. She talks to the other hidden worlds. Other worlds. Nari asked. Yansu opened her bag and pulled out a strange machine. It looked like a Veltari communicator, but was much more complex. 17 worlds so far, Yansu said. All pretending to be dead or empty. All waiting. Waiting for what? for the right time to reveal ourselves. Together, Hyunsu turned on her machine. The air above it showed a map of the galaxy. Lights blinked in different places. The Corvins are still alive, she said. Hidden in underground cities on their moons, Zenthari faked a plague that killed their whole species. The Morlacks moved to the bottom of their oceans. All because of us, Neri whispered. Not because you're evil, Hyunsu said kindly. Because you're powerful. When someone much stronger than you wants to help, it's hard to say no. A man with gray hair and sad eyes joined them. He wore simple brown clothes and looked tired. This is Wu Jin, Daeho said. He used to live on the surface. Wu Jin sat down heavily. I remember the sky. Real sky. Remember rain and snow and wind that wasn't made by machines. Why don't you go back? Nari asked. Because I also remember the fear. When we saw your ships coming, we knew our world would never be the same. Underground is safe. Underground is ours. But the children are happy, Wu Jin said firmly. They don't miss what they never had. But is that fair to them? Is it fair to give them a world where they have to ask permission from aliens to make their own choices? An older woman walked in. She carried books and papers. Her hair was completely white, but her face was kind. This is Miran Kung Mi said. She keeps our history and culture safe. Miran put her books on the table. These are stories and songs from before, she said. Things we don't want to lose. She opened one book and showed Nari pictures of Earth from 50 years ago. Beautiful cities, green forests, blue oceans. We're not the same people we were then, Miran said. Living underground changed us, made us more careful, more secretive. Sometimes I wonder if we're still human. What do you mean? Humans used to love taking risks. We explored dangerous places. We tried new things even when they might hurt us. Now we hide and plan and wait. Miran turned a page. The picture showed humans dancing under the stars. My grandmother danced like this, free and wild. My granddaughter has never seen stars. But she's alive, Nari said. Double quotes, yes. But is being alive the same as living? Ken-mi stood up. That's why we need to decide, soon. Do we stay hidden forever? Do we come back to the surface and fight for our porns? I'll find for Sag our pardon. Only Ruby kiss, how will the war size who will lie size on? That is all size on the lies, but live size on the lies, long-lasting color. That's all size on the lies. That's as well as why we need to decide. Soon, do we stay high? We size on the lies of Suvens or Reslas. We subab, submit. You may see it. We sigh to we see it side, by so I have. We a canad, but to we say it. Gets I mod. Essa I nav it. I sigh you suppa we saka I saka sit to kit to me psych get kais I lay sits to get to with it dispute it's at by it sit they kis world? Or do we try to find another way? What other way? Working with your people. Some of them, anyway. People like you who might understand. Nari looked around the room at all these humans. Each one had given up something important to keep their species free. But they had also lost something important along the way. Your people will be looking for me soon, Nari said. If I don't contact them, they'll send search teams. We know, Kung-mi said. Your rescue beacon started working an hour ago. Nari checked her suit. The beacon was indeed working. So what happens now? She asked. Now you choose, Hei-Won said. You can tell your people what you learned here. You can keep our secret, or you can help us find a third option. What kind of third option? That depends on you, Kyung-mi said. How much do you think your people can change? How much do you think they want to change? Outside, Nari could hear the sound of Veltari ships in the distance. They were looking for her. She thought about everything she had seen. The underground cities, the improved technology, the children who had never seen sunlight, the adults who remembered the sky but chose to live in caves. She thought about the 17 other worlds, all hiding from her people's help. She thought about the Corvins who could no longer speak with animals. "I need time to think," she said. "Time is something we don't have much of," Q-Me said gently. "Your rescue ship will be here soon." Nari looked at Deho. He had been quiet during most of this conversation. "What do you think I should do?" she asked him. Deho smiled. "I think you should do what feels right to you. Not what your people expect, not what we want. What you think is right." The sound of ships got louder. Soon her people would find her, and then she would have to decide what kind of person she really was. The Veltari rescue ship landed near Nari's crashed vehicle. She watched it through Deho's window screen. It was big and silver, with blue lights flashing along its sides. "Commander Velnine," Nari said quietly. "My boss. He's very smart and very careful." "Will he scan the area?" Kung-Mi asked. "Yes, he always scans everything." "Then he'll find energy readings from this shelter," Haewon said. "What will you tell him?" Neris' radio crackled to life. "Scout Neri, this is Commander Velnine. Please respond." She picked up the radio, but didn't answer yet. "What do you want me to say?" "The truth," Deho said simply. "Which truth?" "That humans are alive. That you've been hiding for 50 years. That 17 other worlds are doing the same thing." "Whatever truth you can live with," Kyung-Mi said. Nari pressed the button on her radio. "Commander Velnine, this is Scout Nari. I'm alive and safe." "Good. We're coming to get you." "Stay where you are." "Yes, sir." She put down the radio and looked at the humans around her. "I have maybe 10 minutes before he gets here." "That's enough time," said a new voice. Everyone turned. An old woman walked into the room. She was very old, with white hair and wrinkled skin, but her eyes were bright and strong. "Grandmother Haewon," Deho said, surprised. "I thought you were in the deep cities." "I came as soon as I heard," the old woman said. She looked at Nari. "You're the alien who found us." "Yes." "Good. It's time." "Time for what?" Nari asked. "Time to stop hiding," the old woman said. "I'm tired of living in caves. I want to see the sun again before I die." "Grandmother, we talked about this," Kyung-Mi said. "It's too dangerous." "Everything is dangerous," the old woman replied. "But some things are worth the danger." She walked over to Nari. "Child, let me tell you something. I helped plan the Great Silence 50 years ago. I thought it was the right thing to do. And maybe it was. Then, what changed?" Nari asked. "My great-granddaughter was born last month. She will grow up in caves, just like her mother did. And her mother's mother. How many generations should live underground because we're afraid?" The old woman sat down slowly. "I've been watching your people for 50 years. Most of you are not evil. You're just ... young. Your species learned to travel between stars only recently. You're excited. You want to explore and help. And make friends. But you don't always understand that help can hurt." Neri heard footsteps outside. Commander Velnine was coming. "I have to go," she said. "Wait," the old woman said. She pulled out a small device. "Take this." "What is it?" "A communicator. If you ever want to talk to us again, use it. But only if you really want to help, not just because you feel guilty." Nari took the device and hid it in her suit. "How will I know the difference?" "You'll know," Deho said. The entrance to the shelter opened. Commander Velnine walked in. He was tall and thin, with dark blue skin and 4 arms. He wore a fancy uniform covered in medals. "Scout Nari," he said. "Are you injured?" "No, sir." just shaken up. Velnine looked around the shelter. His eyes missed nothing. Interesting. This doesn't look like natural cave formation. No, sir. I think it was built by the people who used to live here before they died out. Velnine pulled out a scanner and pointed it around the room. I'm reading power sources, air filtration, climate control. Very advanced for a dead civilization. Mary's heart beat fast. Maybe they were more advanced than we thought. Maybe. Velnine walked to the wall where the screen had been. Now it just looked like normal stone. Or maybe they're not as dead as we think. He turned to look at Nari. Did you see anything unusual while you were here? Just the storm, sir? It was much stronger than anything in our weather reports. Yes, these storms have been getting stronger lately. It's almost like someone is making them stronger on purpose. Velnine put away his scanner. We'll take you back to the ship for medical check. Then you can write your report. Yes, sir. As they walked toward the entrance, Velnine stopped. Scout Nari, in your opinion, is this world truly dead? Nari looked. Back at the shelter, she couldn't see the humans, but she knew they were there, listening. I think, sir, that life finds ways to survive that we don't always understand. Interesting answer. And if there were survivors here, what do you think? We should do... I think we should ask them what they want, instead of deciding for them. Velnine studied her face carefully. You sound different, Scout Nari. This experience has changed you. Yes, sir. It has. They walked to the rescue ship. As they flew back to the main fleet, Velnine asked more questions. Did you find any technology in that shelter? Nothing that worked, sir. Any signs of recent habitation? No, sir. Any indication that the original inhabitants might have had contact with other worlds? Nari thought about the 17 blinking lights on Yansu's map. No, sir. That night, on the big ship, Nari wrote her report. She wrote about the storm and the crash and finding shelter in ancient ruins. She wrote about broken machines and empty rooms. She did not write about Deho or the underground cities or the hidden billions of humans. But she also did not write that the world was definitely empty. 3 days later, Commander Velnine called her to his office. Your report is very thorough, he said, but it leaves some questions unanswered, sir. I've been studying the energy readings from that shelter. They don't match any technology in our databases. Nari waited. I'm also curious about the storms. They seem to happen exactly when our deep scanning equipment is working. That does seem strange, sir. Velnine walked to his window. Outside, Nari could see the brown and orange surface of Earth. Scout Nari, how long have you been with the Exploration Service? 15 years, sir. In those 15 years, how many worlds? Have you seen us help? Many, sir. And how many of those worlds kept their original culture after we helped them? Nari thought about the Corvins, who could no longer speak with animals. Not many, sir. No, not many. Velnine turned back to her. Sometimes I wonder if our help is really helpful. Sir, nothing. Dismissed. Nari started to leave, then stopped. Sir, what if there were survivors down there? What would you do? Velnine was quiet for a long moment. I would hope they were smart enough to stay hidden until they were ready to face the galaxy on their own terms. And if they asked for our help, I would hope we were wise enough to give them only what they asked for, and nothing more. Nari nodded and left. That night, she took out the small communicator Haywan's grandmother had given her. She turned it on. Deho, she said quietly. Hello, Nari, came his voice. Are you safe? Yes. Deho, I want to help. Really help. Not the way my people usually help, but the way you need help. What did you have in mind? I think there are others like me, Beltari, who would understand if they knew the truth. Not many, but some. That's a start. And I think Commander Velnine suspects something. He might be willing to listen. Interesting. Deho, when your people are ready to come back to the surface, I want to be there. I want to help you do it right. We'd like that, Nari. We'd like that very much. Outside her window, the stars shone bright and beautiful. Somewhere among those stars were 17 worlds full of people pretending to be dead, waiting for the right time to live again. Nari smiled. Maybe that time was coming sooner than anyone thought. On the surface below, the wind began to blow. Another storm was coming. But this time, it felt different. This time, it felt like the beginning of something new